You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show podcast on KPEL965.com.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL, Breaux Bridge, Lafayette.
It's time to win cash. Get your KPEL News apps ready because here's your chance to win up to $30,000. Just enter the following code into your KPEL News app where it says win cash and make sure you listen for more codes throughout the day because the more codes you enter, the better your chances. Here is your next code.
You got our app ready? Go ahead, open it up, hit that win cash button and type in your 9 a.m. code 371. Your 9 a.m. code is 371.
Did you just look down at your phone? You did it again, didn't you? You know, you're flying down the road in a 3-ton hunk of steel, and a text takes your eyes off the road for an average of 5 seconds. At 55 miles per hour, that's long enough to travel the length of a football field and cause some serious damage. Turn it off. Trust me, whatever it is, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextsstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Bikers Against Child Abuse empowers children to not feel afraid of the world in which they live. For more information, visit BACAworld.org. Our helpline is 866-885-9474. BACA, breaking the chains of abuse.
This hour of the Moon Griffon Show is brought to you by 1% Lists Acadiana. Call Shannon LeBlanc today at 337-522-0682. Save on fees, not on service.
The views expressed in the following show are those of the hosts or hosts only. They do not represent News Talk 96.5 KPEL or Town Square Media.
Hi, y'all. Welcome, Moon Griffon Show, the most nonpartisan, non-political show on the air today. The easy listening sounds of the Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us on this Friday Eve, and a lot of stuff to. I did ask just for a quick interview with the climate czar at 9:22. Shelter in place lifted north of Sulphur after pipeline leak stop. Carbon capture, pipe leaks. Same thing. I think in Livingston Parish. What are y'all fighting under Lake Maurepas? Don't do it. Keep fighting. Don't let them put that carbon capture underneath. Nobody knows what is going to happen. Anyway, it's a carbon capture leak. So I had to call my friend, the climate czar, and say, what does this mean? And he was nice enough to give just a few minutes, a little 5 or 6 minutes. I want to know what this means. All that carbon capture going on out there. Safe. Oh, really? I know my friends in Livingston Parish, and I don't know if it's Maurepas, I may be wrong. I've got so much going on in my little bitty head. But I know this. I would keep fighting against that crap, I would just keep fighting it every chance that I could because it's all a lie. It's all based on money. Now, okay, I'm going to try this again for the last time. Why do I do this to myself? This thing yesterday, Governor Landry, I'm good friends with Jeff, goes on Fox to keep this thing going about the national anthem at LSU. And the bottom line is, and I told y'all at the beginning, this was never about the national anthem. The national anthem is being played every time. That is awesome. I'm all for it, 100% for it. Try to explain to people that never played ball, and most people never played any kind of sports at any kind of level, that, and I played a little bit in college before I blew the knee out, and I played a lot in high school. Blew a knee out then, too, but that's another point. And I just remember routines where warm up, go inside, take your pants off, go over the game plan, come back out. And by the way, we would always do a prayer. Tim Mulkey's team prays before they come out. So I can make an argument here if we want to continue doing this. And I wish Jeff would wish Jeff would worry about the stuff going on in Louisiana and not this. The national anthem's being played. Thank the Lord Jesus, it ought to be played. It ought to be. But this is not what this issue's even about, and that's what makes you mad, because it's taken off a whole other issue now. And Jeff telling me, well, we're going to take away the scholarship from the kids, and I'm going, oh, my God, where are we going with this? Why are we going on Fox and continue this craziness going on? Nobody believes that, and more in prayer and national anthem is so important as I do. There's a routine going on. By the way, let me give you another one, Walker. I bet you didn't know this. LSU played Army. I think it was last year, what? Like in, what was it, October? Yeah, they played one of the early games? Okay.
I think it was the first game of the year.
Let's see. Star Spangled Banner was played at Tiger Stadium. Where do you think Army was when the Star Spangled Banner was played?
I guess the locker room.
They wasn't on the field. This is Army. See, this got to stop, folks. This is absolutely insanity. I told y'all that yesterday, but I need to quit talking about it. And then Jeff goes on Fox and he blasts away, and he goes on Fox with a LSU shirt and jersey. Says, I'm not blasting Malky or the team. What you talking about? Did you ever play sports? Come on, Gov, and I'm not going to get on the Gov, and I'm just letting y'all, I'm not today, but I can't believe he went on Fox to keep this going. You know, it's an incredible thing to continue to watch. And I thought about something else, just a little bit of take on it, because everybody's got, they ought to be out there. I get it. I understand it. I just sooner be out there, too. That hadn't been the routine. And when I played in high school and college, I don't know what they played out there, because we went in. I just deal with the coach's routine, and coaches are different and weird, and they like these routines, and that's who they are. Why don't Iowa do that? I don't know. They got a different routine. And nobody's talking about the two teams after LSU, about USC and UConn, because their governors didn't jump up and say anything. I just think this has gone too far, folks. Okay, if we want to have a rule, this is real simple. Make it easy for everybody. National anthem's going to be played. Walker, you go to Pelican games. What they do?
They do the national anthem right before they call out the starting lineup. Okay. So everybody's on the court.
They all stand up and everybody's on the court. Boy, that's really easy. Who could decide to do that? Whoever's in charge of the stadium. I just want this to stop. This is happening. We got so much problems in the state to correct, and look what we're going after. And then you got two sides of the deal. You got the ugly side. I'm not going to talk about it. But you got the side that's all in national anthem, patriotic. I love you. Feel the same way. But you're missing the issue here, because there ain't an issue here. That's why I'm missing the issue. It's turned into national anthem. They ought to be out there. It's turned into a whole nother dynamic. Scott McKay had a piece on it. He thinks it's ridiculous. I saw comments from Bernie Pence on that. I mean, they need to chill out on this. Everybody sit back, drink some lemonade. Jeff called Coach Malky. If Coach Malky was not intentionally doing this to remove her kids for the national anthem, like everybody, or Coach Brian Kelly, there's not a problem here. And the national anthem played. People stood up and they cheered. It was awesome. It was awesome. But so what we do is we change the total look at something that was, I mean, okay, let me ask you this question. You folks out there, all of us that we feel we're real patriotic, is God more important than a country? God himself. I say God, then your country. God, family, country. And that ought to always say. Matter of fact, go look at my original cards and my original deal. All of them, God, family, country. God, family, country. All with you. 100%. Been doing this before I did my first program. So let's say we have a debate. What's more important? Praying in a locker room, which, by the way, we hear now they pray before they come out. Praying to the good Lord himself through Jesus Christ. Or standing up for the national anthem. What if you had to make a choice? I'm not talking, now look, don't worry, I do both. Good, I would too. But if you had to make a choice, which one's more important? This is just absolutely unbelievable. And when somebody sent it to me yesterday, by the way, they pray before the game. They have a prayer before the game and after the game. We don't have to do the national anthem before the game and after the game. Folks, the reason why this is crazy is because it's gotten way out there now. The national anthem needs to be played. I'm glad they're praying. I don't know. I guess this is what I'm gonna say. And this is to Jeff. I'll just be honest. Why even answer a phone call from Fox or anybody on this subject? I'm just saying, why? I got calls one time. Everybody knows my dislike for what Bobby Jindal stood for, what he did. And I got calls from CNN, Fox, Chris Matthews, you name the liberal leftist Looney Tune programs, and I wouldn't go on none of them because I wasn't going to do that. Just stay away from it. If y'all want these teams to be there, no doubt, make them be there, fine. I'm all with you. Do the national anthem right before the tip-off. Matter of fact, call a team out. Call the players out. Let them come back to the bench to start a lineup. Then do the national anthem and go on the court. I'm all for it. This issue went from people believing LSU walked off the court. Y'all think I'm defending LSU and Mulkey. It's nothing to do with defending them. I'm just telling you how it worked. I knew it. I knew when they walked off and they said they wasn't on the court and they leave it 12 minutes that people upset at that comment. Everybody's saying it's because Iowa stayed on the court. Good for Iowa. Where was USC and UConn? All these people making these nasty comments are not blasting USC and UConn. By the way, USC and UConn was the game after. Anyway, I just wondered if you had to pick between praying and the Star Spangled Banner, which one would you do? I wanted to go away. Somebody just wrote to me. Something about quit talking about it. I told you that 2 days ago. I need to quit talking about it. It just irks me that if we're talking about something that the national anthem is playing. If we were talking about why they're not playing the national anthem, boom, I'm all in. Should the players be on the court? That'd be great. Iowa stands out like they queens because they stood out there. Good for them. But it wouldn't be if you told me that Mulkey and the basketball team didn't go on the court because they were protesting the national anthem. I'm all in with you now. But that don't make any sense because it's what they always do. Army at the LSU football stadium last year did not come out for the national anthem and stand. Army. Thank God they praying, huh? I just think the gov, my opinion, I think you ought to let this go. All right, we got to take a break. When we get back, hopefully, Stephen Parr. Just real quick on this carbon capture coming up through the ground. Uh-oh, they told us this was safe. No big deal. Talk to Stephen Parr real quick for just a quick segment. Then Dr. Cade Brumley. Education savings account, folks. Is it in trouble? Are they heading in the right direction? We'll take a break. Be right back.
It's springtime, and that means garden time here in Louisiana, and Louisiana-owned and operated Stein is where you need to go to get all the great deals on plants and everything else you need for that brand new flower bed you've been wanting to make. Stein has great deals on garden soil, mulch, weed, and ant killer, everything you need to lay the groundwork for that brand new flower bed, plus assorted flowers and vegetables in jumbo 6-packs starting at just $2.79. The weather is perfect, and that means you have the opportunity to start bringing those great blossoms into your yard today. Plus, springtime means outdoor cooking, grills, charcoal and propane burners, all of that you need you can find online at steinhome.com. Louisiana-owned and operated, Stein is your place for the gardening and outdoor grilling you need to take advantage of this spring. Check out everything they have to offer online at steinhome.com. That's steinhome.com. boomboomerang.com. Check them out today.
When you think about how you'll spend your money in retirement, what comes to mind? Probably travel, sunny beaches, and spoiling your grandchildren. But a recent survey found that over 30% of every dollar a retiree spends goes to taxes. Baby boomers were told for years to save money in their IRAs and 401ks and pay taxes later. Well, now that day has arrived, and boomers are shocked to see a third of their money going back to Uncle Sam. John Blanchard and the Matthew James Financial Group can help. What if you could? Protect all or most of your retirement wealth from future tax rate increases. Achieve a zero or near zero effective tax rate for most of your retirement years. Find out more. 337-366-8366. Isn't it time you got a second opinion on your wealth and retirement outlook? Learn how you could potentially kick the IRS out of your IRA. 337-366-8366 and online at MatthewJames.com.
You want to
Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Matthew James. Tax Wealth Management Hotline. Stephen Paul, my climate czar, meteorologist, joined me. Stephen, I'm sorry to get you back so quick, but I sent you a story north of Sulphur after a leak was stopped in the high-pressure carbon dioxide line. How dangerous is it? Because they tell us there's nothing to this, no danger to it.
No, there really is a danger from carbon dioxide pipelines. And I would actually say that the threat to human health from a carbon dioxide pipeline is actually much larger than the threat to human health from an oil and gas pipeline. And here's the reason why. Oil and gas, if it leaks out, it'll seep into the soil, and it pretty much stays there. But because carbon dioxide is a gas, it will travel. But in this case, when carbon dioxide is mixed in the atmosphere, not a problem. But in this case, what you have is the high concentration of carbon dioxide in much higher concentrations than in the atmosphere at normal. And carbon dioxide is heavier than the rest of the gases in the atmosphere. Not all of them, but it's generally heavier than the atmosphere as a whole. So when carbon dioxide leaks out, it stays fairly close to the surface. Have you ever played with dry ice? Moon, you ever played with dry ice as a kid?
Yep.
You ever do that?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, and you see that steam that comes off of it and it flows down to the ground?
Yep.
That's all carbon dioxide. That's all dry ice is frozen carbon dioxide. As it turns into a gas, it flows over the sides and down to the ground because carbon dioxide is heavier than the atmosphere as a whole. So if it's leaking out of a pipeline and it's at super concentrated levels, which is what they do, then you have a massive amount of gas that is staying fairly close to the surface and leaking out. The reason this is a problem is if you get it in high enough concentrations, you can actually suffocate people to death. This has happened in the past. Now, it wasn't a pipeline. It was a natural disaster that occurred over in Africa called the Lake Nikos eruption. And what happened, this is back in 1984, I believe, there was an earthquake. There was some kind of a movement, a mudslide that hit this lake in Africa. And what it did is it turned over the water inside the lake, and at the bottom of the lake, the water down at the bottom had a lot more carbon dioxide dissolved into the water than the water at the surface. But when it rotated over, all of that carbon dioxide was then released from the lake naturally. But it was a ton of carbon dioxide, and it flowed out of the lake and down into a valley, and it killed 4,000 people just with the concentration of carbon dioxide. It killed livestock, cattle, horses, anything in its way, anything that needed oxygen to live. It killed it within a 25-kilometer radius of the lake.
Let me ask you a question. I know my friends in Livingston Parish, and I think it's Lake Maurepas. If I'm wrong, they can beat me up. They're talking about running these pipes under the ground, under these lakes. Is that a concern? I mean, they think it's a gigantic concern. I do, too. But the people that are doing it are going to make the money from the federal government, of course. Is that a concern? Running under these lakes?
It is legitimate. I think it's a legitimate concern, Moon. Look, if everything goes perfectly according to the plan, where you take this carbon dioxide, which, by the way, you have superheated and you super compress it into a liquid form. Normally when you heat something, it turns into a gas. But the way they store carbon dioxide, they superheat it and put a ton of pressure on it to turn it into a superheated liquid that they then shove into the ground. Now, you shove that down into a mile into the ground, and let's say everything goes perfectly according to plan. Sure, there's nothing to worry about. But the problem is, what if that superheated liquid finds a way back up? Now you've got superheated, super concentrated, a lot of pressure on the carbon dioxide, and if it sneaks up, you could have an outgassing problem underneath the lake, just like you did in Africa.
Remember, though,
this is something that could kill people.
Yeah, remember the Titanic had no chance of sinking. None. Zero, zilch, nada, would never sink. The people in Livingston Parish are making the right fight, and people that are fighting this in other places are making the right fight for something that doesn't need to be done.
It doesn't help anybody, and it does present a risk. Now, maybe that risk is really, really remote, but why would you engage in something that's even remotely risky for absolutely no literal value, no good to society or to the community as a whole?
Well, it's a good to the pocketbooks of people that are doing this from the federal government. That's just it. I mean, you've been on here and expressed that many, many times. When I saw that, I just thought about my friends in Livingston Parish and some of the other people that have been fighting this craziness. And I thought, wow, look what could happen by doing what they're doing. And I don't think they really know what's going to happen by doing what they're doing. I might be wrong, but I don't think they are. I don't think they really know.
Nobody expected this pipeline to be leaking carbon dioxide to where they had to force people to shelter in place. We're ordering people, don't leave your home because of this carbon dioxide gas pipeline. And again, remember, the root of all evil is the love of money. It's not money, it's the love of money. If you are chasing money for something that does no good for people, you are engaging in something that is the root of all evil.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, they're only doing it because of federal money that's being poured. And I just thought my friends in Livingston Parish would like to hear the story because it's another story when they go to these meetings and have these fights and go to court they can bring up because this is a great example. Hey, Stephen, thank you. I know it's short notice, but thank you so much.
Thank you, Moon. Bye-bye.
All right, we'll take a break. More to come. Dr. Cade Brumley when we get back. Education savings accounts. Is it going to make it through? We'll be right back. Hey, folks, this is Moon Griffon. I built my dream home. Start imagining your dream home. And when you do, make sure you call my friends or get in touch with my friends at Schumacher Homes. SchumacherHomes.com, SchumacherHomes.com. When you tour Schumacher model home, you're in control. Stop by during operating hours and tour at your own pace. There's a reason my friends at Schumacher have been building homes for over 30 years. They're committed to making the home building process as enjoyable, simple, and hassle-free as possible. Call them or visit them, SchumacherHomes.com. SchumacherHomes.com to schedule your free, no-obligation design and pricing meeting. Hey, it's an hour or two of your time working on your dream home. And my friends over at Schumacher Homes just announced some exciting news. You can get a mortgage rate as low as 2.875% when you finance with Schumacher Homes. That is 2.875% when you finance with Schumacher Mortgage. Hey, the whole Schumacher team is dedicated to making sure your dream home becomes a reality. SchumacherHomes.com, SchumacherHomes.com. Folks, remember the name All Field Equipment, allfieldequipment.com. When I say All Field, that's ALL Field.com. All Field Equipment founded in 2016 by my good friend, Mr. Bill Allen, with over 50 years' experience in the oil and gas industry. Hey, this is a great company to do business with. Whether it's production equipment, control valves, controller, glyco pumps, chemical pumps, chokes, Wilden pumps, Barton recorders, Allfield has new, rebuilt, and parts. Allfield handles some of the industry's top brands such as Norasil, Fisher, and Kimray. On the supply side, Allfield has anything from Q-tips to appliances to general Allfield supplies. Allfield is one of the largest suppliers of bottled water in the Gulf. And remember, Allfield never changes transportation. Like the name says, Allfield has it all, covering the Architects area and the Gulf of Mexico. Allfield Equipment, 337-837-1003, 337-837-1003.
Mike Air from Rebound.
This hour of the Moon Griffon Show is brought to you by 1% List Acadiana. Call Shannon LeBlanc today at 337-522-0682. Save on fees, not on service.
Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show, covering every issue we can cover in a breaking the sound barrier today. Let's jump gears. Dr. Cade Brumley joins us, and of course, he is Superintendent of Education here. Dr. Brumley, how you doing?
Hey, Moon. Good morning. Glad to be coming to you from Baton Rouge this morning, where we're deep in legislative session.
Well, the big thing I wanted to talk to you about was the education savings account, because leading up to the session, I thought this was a done deal. But I also knew that y'all were going to be attacked, especially from school boards and people that don't understand or just want to hold on to everything like it is. And I'm sure you try to work with them, but you, the Bessie board members that you have now, a lot of the elected officials want to get this done. My question is, what's the obstacles right now? Are some people starting to back down from trying to pass this thing that's very important?
Yeah, look, I think first of all, Moon, nothing that we're hearing now is anything that we didn't expect to happen. This is the way it goes. This is a threat to normal operations in the state of Louisiana and the way that we've always done things in education, and the ESA concept, as well as other things that we're trying to work through, are a challenge to those operations, and so we're getting that pushback. But look, you've got the newly elected governor of Louisiana, Governor Landry, and this is his signature education initiative. And so you got the strength of the governor's office behind it. You know, you've got our state board of education and the leadership there, Ronnie Morris, Lance Harris, Stacey Mellarine, and they are supporting this initiative. And so, we're hearing it, we're seeing it, but I think that there's optimism around it as well.
No, that's good. I want to hear that, because we need these lawmakers to do something different. They came out with all these fake numbers, and I called it out, Dr. Brumley. I maybe even talked to you about it. PAR, which is supposed to be a good government group, came out. So it's going to cost $520 million extra a year. And when they got the fiscal note on it, you're looking at $258 million in the third year. So they use numbers, and of course the media ran with it. And I've seen some of the school systems that run with this, worried about the money leaving their schools. What can you say about that? How do you address that? Because, first of all, everybody's not going to do this. The percentage is not going to be as high as they think that it is. But how do you address something like that?
Well, first of all, I think that what's important is giving parents a portfolio of options to choose from, whether that's their traditional neighborhood school, and we have many great traditional neighborhood schools, whether it's public charter, the independence of homeschool, or now ESAs. One of the things I share is, if you look to Arizona, Moon, Arizona has had a universal ESA longer than any other state in the country, several years now, and less than 3% of the entire eligible population participates. But you know what? It's available for those families that want to utilize it. It is a parent choice option. And the other thing I think that's important about the bills that are moving through with ESAs this year is that they're subject to appropriation. So whereas people say, well, is this going to be runaway spending in the state of Louisiana? First of all, I tend to think it's an investment. But beyond that, it is subject to the amount of appropriation that the legislature provides. So it can't be a runaway program, because every year, annually, the way that this bill is written, the legislature has to come in and decide how much money they want to appropriate to the program. So, I think that those are really good points worth noting. The authors that have taken on these bills are obviously under a lot of pressure right now. You've got Rick Edmonds over on the Senate side, and then you've got Julie Emerson on the House side, who are carrying these ESA bills, and they are under a lot of pressure right now on these bills. But they're trying to expand options for families.
Yeah, no doubt. It's a question that has nothing to do with this, but it does education. You might know, you might not know this. I know we got a lot of illegals and our kids in schools today. Money-wise, what is that costing us? Do you have any idea what it costs for all the illegals that are here? I know they might not all be here, but we got a lot of them. Is that a major cost with school boards and Bessie? Because I'm just curious, I'm not down at anything. I just want to know.
No, I mean, first of all, as an educator, I think our system has an obligation to educate the child that shows up at the door. But I will have a better sense for that question in the coming months, because the governor has asked all agencies to look at cost of illegal immigration to the various agencies, and our agency would be one of those. And so what we're in process of doing now in response to his executive order is collecting information about the costs associated with illegal immigrants in the educational system in the state of Louisiana. And we'll be putting out a report to his office in response to that executive order very soon. So, I hate, Moon, to speak in advance of that, because we're still collecting that information. But okay. I can tell you in a couple of months we'll have a much better sense of those costs to the state.
Are you without giving us a number, are you a little bit shocked how much it is, or not overwhelmed so much, or are you just waiting to get the rest of the numbers in?
Well, it's a significant number, Moon. It's going to be a significant number. I don't know the extent to which you're aware, but previously I served in Jefferson Parish, and Jefferson Parish has probably the most significant influx of immigrants into the school system each year. And so it was not unusual in a given year for us to enroll, 1,500, 2,000 newcomers a year. And that's just in one school system in the state, Moon. And so I think that once we, take a look at these numbers across the entire state, and obviously these numbers will be greater in certain geographic areas of the state, but these are significant numbers, and I do applaud the governor here, Governor Landry, for trying to get agencies to collect, to the best of our ability, these costs.
Yeah, I understand that you guys got to do what basically the law tells you to do when it comes to who comes at the door. I just know there's a big cost to it, and that's why I asked the question. When are those numbers supposed to be out, Dr. Brumley?
Yeah, I think we owe the governor's office a report here within the next month, and so we're in the process of collecting that information now to get that there. And look, Moon, I say that educators have a responsibility to educate every child at the door, and I firmly believe that. But at the same time, certainly something needs to be done at the border to make sure that situation is under control, so that we can ensure the safety of our country. So it's really a twofold thing there for us as educators.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Dr. Cade Brumley, my special guest. Well, the Education Savings Account, you got to admit, the other side, along with the help of the media, they make up numbers and put them out there to $520 million. There's a chance that it might not be near that kind. You may even get some savings in y'all budget when it comes to Education Savings Account, depending on how it breaks. The other thing is, public schools that feel good about their schools should never worry about competition. I don't think it's going to be, like you said, you told me one time before, it might be a little higher in Arizona, but really nobody knows where these numbers are going to settle, because some people like the idea of staying at the school that they are already at right now.
Yeah. Two things here, Moon, on this. One, it's good for families. It's good for families, and it's going to raise all of the educational institutions across the state due from competition. And the other piece is the economic component of this. I have said for well over a year now that I think that Louisiana is in an economic disadvantage in competition, particularly with other southern states where there is an economic renaissance happening, because Louisiana doesn't have an ESA model. And so when our economic developers go out to retain or try to attract new companies to the state, and they're in competition with Florida or Arkansas or Alabama or, the Carolinas, and those states are able to offer companies the option that employees can control where their dollars go for their kids' education, and we can't in Louisiana. Clearly, that's an economic disadvantage. And so I think that if an ESA bill were to pass in the state of Louisiana, that would level that playing field for economic developers in terms of the overall economy of the state as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, Dr. Brumley, the last question on this is, do you feel really good about Education Savings Accounts passing? Do you think y'all on the right track? You don't see anybody backing up? Just tell me how you feel where we are right now.
Yeah, look, Moon, I really appreciate that question. The ESA concept is a good one. and from all accounts, it's in good shape. From individuals I'm talking with, and I feel confident that at the end of the day, there's going to be an ESA bill on the governor's desk, and he's going to sign it, and it's going to expand educational freedom throughout the state of Louisiana.
All right, Dr. Cade Brumley, hope we hear from you again soon. God bless. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Moon.
All right, got to take a break. More to come. Moon Griffon Show. Don't go nowhere, folks. From the humbling beginning, Dino Hardwoods is striving to provide superior service and quality products for their customers. Hey, I know Charles Altman. He does a great job. If you're looking for lumber, Dino Hardwood stocks a large selection of domestic and import hardwood lumber and cypress. You ought to see their stuff. Exotic lumber, they got that as well. Trust in Dino Hardwoods when it comes to your exotic lumber needs right now. Molding, plywood, paint, and L products, they are ready for you. They got 3 great locations. The corporate office is right here in Broussard, Louisiana. There's an office in Shreveport on 2801 Valley View Drive and one in Tyler, Texas, 12492 Highway 155 North. Hey, if you're looking for something different and something new and somebody who will service you, it's Dino Hardwoods. I'm telling you, don't forget Dino Hardwoods. DinoHardwoods.com, DinoHardwoods.com. Great locations. They can service you. They can deliver. DinoHardwoods.com. Check out this great Louisiana company. Folks, you hear me brag about an advertisement. South Star Urgent Care is the name you need to know. Listen, you look up, you're in the middle of the night, you're looking, God, where do we go? South Star Urgent Care. They open on weekends, they open at night, they can get you taken care of. If you're sick, if you're feeling bad, maybe you coughing, dehydrated, fever, flu, fracture, South Star Urgent Care wants to service you, and they're going to treat you like you want to be treated. They're going to get you in, get you out. You're not going to sit in a dark waiting room for a bunch of times. South Star Urgent Care. Go to SouthStarMoon.com, SouthStarMoon.com. You know you can register before you go and set your appointment. Hey, it's really cool. These folks at South Star greet you with a genuine smile and make you feel very comfortable. Folks, you're looking for the perfect urgent care? It's South Star Urgent Care. Go to SouthStarMoon.com, SouthStarMoon.com. South Star Urgent Care. It's the urgent care you need. Go to SouthStarMoon.com, SouthStarMoon.com.
Looking for a place?
Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Yeah, I just want to make sure the education savings account don't fall off the cliff. A lot of school systems are freaking out. I know the one in Livingston Parish is freaking out. They got drilled with a tax increase in Livingston Parish last time, the school board, 58% against it. And the guy that's helping push all this stuff is none other than the crybaby Buddy Mincy. The big crybaby still out there, big leftist, ran as a Republican, got thrown out, was nasty and mean. He's out there fighting for the left. But that's who he is. I mean, it's not a surprise that he's fighting for the left. But crybaby Mincy's out there and, fighting with the school board. I'm just, people have rejected him. Rejected some of the stuff the school board was doing. Just Mincy. Wow, got Mincy as a lobbyist? If that's who's lobbying? Crybaby Mincy? Folks, everybody's crying about something. They have no clue what education savings accounts means to people who need it to get out of a bad school situation. You're bragging and you think you got great schools. What are you worried about? You got great schools. It's not for everybody to leave, and I predict it won't be that much money that even goes to this. And like he said, if the government's pushing for this, and the state government led by Jeff and the Republicans have pushed this, then they're going to fund it. Remember, according to the Advocate in Bell Evans, we're going to have money forever. So what's the problem? What's the problem? All right, let's go to phone lines. Miss April in Texas. April, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
If your name is April, this is your favorite month, I bet, huh?
That's right. Yesterday, I turned a whopping 54.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And you're born in April. Your name is April. God, this is a great month for you.
Yes, sir. You know, the crazy thing is that my grandfather was watching an episode of Bonanza. He died when I was 15 months old, but he was watching an episode of Bonanza, and there was a character on it named April. And back then, they could kind of supposedly tell by the heartbeat. And I was supposed to have been a boy, and I was supposed to be born in March, but I was a girl, and I was born in April. And so my mom honored my grandfather's wishes.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Oh, yes, sir. So, okay, so I caught maybe about the last 10, 12 minutes of your segment on the carbon dioxide leaking from the natural gas pipeline under the lake.
Yes, ma'am.
I have been married for 35 years to a natural gas pipeline welder and welding inspector, along with he's been in the industry for over 50 years, and he just recently retired. My father-in-law was probably 65, 70 years in the industry, and I didn't catch where they were getting this study about the carbon dioxide, but there's little to no way that this can be leaking out, and I'm not being argumentative. I'm giving you the side of what I know and what I have heard my in-laws and my husband speak of. When they test these pipelines, before they ever put gas through them or anything, they run what's called a pig. Like a pig, that's what they call it. And they run it through that line with water to build pressure up to see if there's any leaks at all. Sadly, my husband had two uncles killed during that testing process. One was in the 70s, one was back in the early 90s. And there is, I don't know if it was a liberal group that is coming up with this leakage or whatever, but after so long, they have to replace these pipelines, and this is not, that carbon dioxide leaking is like in the point hundredths percent of being able to leak out, because if there's any water leaking out when they run that pig through that line, they remake those wells.
Well, my only question to you is, that how come in Sulphur, Louisiana, when they're taking this carbon dioxide and high pressure, why did this one leak? Because it leaked, and they had to shelter people. April, we've got this crazy carbon capture thing going on, which I think is 1,000% wasted money. But the point being is, there's places they're running these under lakes, and it concerns people. Now, this was a leak. This was the pipeline, just like you were talking about, that shouldn't have a problem with it. Because remember, the Titanic wasn't going to sink, Sha. So I get what you're saying. They're made not to leak. The goal is for nothing to leak. But the reality is it does happen.
But if the line, is, say, if it's 25, 30 years old, there is a possibility that there is a leak, and that's why why the industry has to keep going on. Biden shut us down and everything, but that's why, a lot of pipelines are dug up and replaced because of this.
Remember on this carbon capture stuff and pipeline craziness, what they said is we already got the lines that run, and they're a mile below. So this is not lines you just change out every day. And they're old lines because they've already been in the ground. And a lot of parts, they're already in the ground. So I get what you're saying. I know they built not to leak. That's the way it should happen. But reality is it will leak. And if you got one of these things under a lake, if it leaks, you got a problem, don't you think?
Yes, sir. I can give you an example of that, and it would have been back in probably 97 or 98. my husband was on they board under the Mississippi River there in the Muscatine, Iowa area going across into Illinois. And like I say, that was probably 97, possibly 98. And they bored underneath the Mississippi River, which was a huge undertaking. And there's not been any problems there. So evidently, and I'm not here to discuss union or non-union. My husband did belong to a union, but they were all 100% Trump.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Well, no, April, I got to go. I appreciate your insight. Yeah. I just, I know one thing. They got one leaking over there that I guess they stopped, and that was the concern about these.
Somebody needs to dig it up and replace it. That's what I talked to my husband before I talked to you, right. And he said it needs to be dug up and replaced.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate the call.
All right.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, it's but it did have a leak, so that's and these people worried about stuff underneath a lake that people maybe fish on or enjoy, or they got homes on. That is. That's a big concern. And I would just brought Stephen on that to make the point that, these things do leak. It was not a good thing. People had to go, they had to shelter people. I mean, it's carbon capture. Carbon capture. That great economic development thing called carbon capture. All right, we're going to take a break. More to come. Right after this, you're listening to The Moon Griffon Show. Line One is a business telecom provider. Line One specializes in cloud-based communication with superior customer service. If you're frustrated with phone bills you can't understand, endless hold time to customer support, and phone system that is not meeting your needs, then you need to go to Line.1 and schedule a free consultation to advance your business phone system. Line One, technology with a human touch. Go to Line.1 and tell them Moon sent you. Again, that is Line.1.
Hello, Acadiana.
News Talk, 96.5, KPEL, Brobridge, Lafayette, a Town Square media station, broadcasting from the Matthew James Financial Studio.
Friendship has limits. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. The White House says the Biden administration's support for Israel is unshakable, but the president has tough questions for Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today in their first conversation since Monday's airstrike killing aid workers getting food to hungry civilians.
We expect the White House to convey that President Biden is both outraged and heartbroken over the deaths of these 7 aid workers in Gaza because, of course, this is the result of an Israeli military campaign. And there's been a lot of questions about tactics here. One of those aid workers who was killed was an American, and we expect this to be a big part of the conversation today when President Biden speaks by phone with his Israeli counterpart. The U.S. says it continues to urge Israel to use caution to make sure that they don't lead to any additional civilian deaths. And now the U.S. is pressing Israel to explain exactly what happened.
Fox's Mark Merritt at the White House. 2 new polls this morning show the president trailing former President Trump. Emerson College has Trump up by a point, Marquette University by 2, 3 if you count other candidates. The Nebraska legislature rejects a Trump-backed change to how the state handles presidential elections.
Nebraska currently splits its 5 electoral college votes, even as it typically goes Republican in statewide elections. The Nebraska legislators on Wednesday night failed to get enough support to change the state's electoral college allocation to a winner-take-all system.
Republicans all too often can talk the talk, but they can't walk the walk and actually get the thing they're seeking achieved. Well, here, we have an opportunity to do it now.
Republicans Republican State Senator Julie Slama the vote after Nebraska State Senator Mike McDonnell fled the Democratic Party to become a Republican, giving the GOP a filibuster-proof majority in Nebraska. The attempt at winner-take-all votes could be attached to future bills. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Stocks are higher today after 3 straight days of losses to start the second quarter of the year. America's listening to Fox News.
Hey, it's Jesse Kelly. Are you still on the fence about owning gold? It's time to pull the trigger with the Oxford Gold Group and buy gold and silver. Nobody can predict the future, but we can't put our head in the sand either. The Oxford Gold Group are the pros. They make owning gold and silver simple and easy to understand. Call Oxford Gold Group right now, and you may qualify for up to $10,000 in free precious metals. Call 833-995-GOLD. That's 833-995-GOLD.
Fraudulent tax returns due to identity theft increased by 30% in 2023. If you're in a bind this tax season, LifeLock can help. Their U.S.-based restoration specialists are dedicated to helping solve identity theft issues, and all plans are backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, which means if you lose money because of identity theft, LifeLock will reimburse you up to the limits of your plan. Help protect your information with LifeLock. Go to LifeLock.com and save up to 25% your first year with my name, Clay, as
Court-appointed special advocates, or CASA, are specially trained volunteers that help secure safe homes for abused and neglected children. Don't let these innocent victims slip through the cracks of our complicated legal system. Get involved today. Call CASA at 268-5111. This nonprofit organization moment brought to you by News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Dog. It's time to win cash. Get your KPEL News apps ready because here's your chance to win up to $30,000. Just enter the following code into your KPEL News app where it says win cash, and make sure you listen for more codes throughout the day because the more codes you enter, the better your chances. Here is your next code.
Another hour, another chance for you to win some cash. Type in the code 316. Your 10 a.m. code is 316. Open up our app and hit that win cash button now.
The views expressed in the following show are those of the hosts or hosts only. They do not represent News Talk 96.5 KPEL or Town Square Media.
Hi, y'all are. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show, hour number 2 on this Friday Eve. Hope you're having a great day. 844-766-6607 is the number if you'd like to be part of the program. It is a Matthew James Tax Wealth Management Hotline. Let's jump gears. Eric Bledsoe joins us, Federation of Government Accountability. Eric, how you doing?
Oh, great. How are you today?
Man, I'm doing sensational, and it's a subject I hate talking about because that means it's still hanging around. It's dealing with ESGs. I ain't talking about it because it's still hanging around because the government and everybody else is forcing. First of all, Eric, let's talk a little bit about your organization, number one. And number two, then I want you to come back and explain. I always do this because if you say the initials, to some people, they understand it. Most won't when you see ESG. So let's talk about your organization you're with.
Oh, of course. Well, thanks for having me first and foremost. And Foundation for Government Accountability, we are a nonprofit. We're based in Naples, Florida. And we started about 10 or so years ago where we were looking at reforms just around work, just getting people back to work, good, strong conservative reforms, and just kind of grew from there, those policies in Florida. And we saw such a great job that Florida and a few other states were doing. And we said, well, let's bring that to other states and connect with leaders who want to do good work. So we're in about 32 different states right now. We work on issues like welfare, ESG, education, a number of different other reforms as well, but it all kind of centers around that principle of really that work is a miracle, and when you get people back to work, they really improve their lives in a path to self-sufficiency, really.
I'll be honest with you, if you don't work, your ship is never coming in because your ship ain't built, it ain't even been designed. You have to design. I tell people all the time, you have to design and build your own ship. And if you're waiting for somebody else, the government or somebody else to build it, you're going to stand on the seashore and look for a long time and nothing's ever coming because it hadn't even been designed yet. You have to be the driver of your prosperity, not the government. I think you'd agree with that.
Oh, 100%.
All right, so let's talk about the ESGs, what's been taking place with this, with banks and being forced to do it. Let's talk about what they are, and let's talk about where the United States of America is with this, because I see different things out there. I read different things. I hear one day that this is what's going to happen to everybody. I hear the next day that some of these companies are pulling out, some of these banks are worried. So explain the ESGs, first of all.
Yeah, so it's a big topic, but ESG, what it stands for, what those three letters stand for, is environmental, social, and governance. And what they really are kind of three different categories that investment firms and banks and even the federal government are using to just redirect people's money to social and political causes that the left cares about. So what it does, it trades kind of real capital, the money that you make at work and save for your kids and save for your retirement. It redirects that and invests it into progressive causes that fall into one of those three categories. So on the E side, we're talking about all the climate action, getting things down to net zero carbon emissions. On the S side, we're talking a lot of the kind of progressive social issues around gender diversity, et cetera. And on the governance side, it's how companies are governed to kind of favor leftist causes. So it's a really kind of trifecta that they're using. And they, the left couldn't get this through at the ballot box with the Green New Deal. No one wanted it. No one voted for it. So what they're doing is they're doing it through people's wallets and through private equity and capital markets.
Yeah, people got to understand. We hear a lot about businesses and businesses having to comply. All this stuff is crazy, by the way. I think this is the most craziest, dumbest thing I've ever heard, unless you want to lose your country. Now, it's a great thing if you want to lose your country. But the point I'm trying to make, Eric, is that this stuff has now gotten into everything, in the banking business. So that means if you just go, one day when you go borrow money to just say buy a truck, they're gonna score you differently now than they used to. And if you're gonna buy a combustion engine, well, guess what? Your score is gonna be pretty bad. Talk a little bit about the process, because even though we look at it as businesses right now, that's what they're targeting. Eventually, it's going to get down to you and me.
Yeah, that's right, and you're more than right on that. In fact, because it's not eventually. We're seeing it happening right now. So we're seeing charities, kind of religious charities, getting discriminated against from banks. They're having their bank accounts closed. We're also seeing people that they're the retirement funds, their pension funds. They have these kind of ESG assets in their portfolios that they never even knew about it, and that's in the public sector and the private sector as well. So it's rampant and it's already here, not just at the kind of the business level, but also at the individual level too.
Yeah, how do we stop? Well, first of all, when you talk about this, let's make it where everybody can see what's happening. What are the individuals and businesses? What should they be looking at to say, hey, I got part of this. I'm part of this. I'm doing this. What should they be looking for to let them know that, hey, I don't want no part of this crazy Looney Tune left stuff, because it might be in their portfolio. It might be when they go get a loan from a bank. It could be in anything. How do they know that they're involved in this at all?
Well, there's a few good resources out there, a few organizations that are doing good work on this. But looking at different kind of catchphrases and codes, if you see things like, well, if you see ESG, that's a no-brainer. But if you see things like kind of sustainability or anything like that, or looking at kind of diversity and governance and things like that, and then if you have investments and you're getting those kind of like proxy cards that you get in the mail sometimes when there's a vote, really start paying attention and reading those things. I think a lot of people, including myself, just kind of toss those to the side, years ago, because it's pretty technical, and I let someone else worry about that. But at this point, people really need to start educating themselves on what's happening, because it's your money, it's your work. And fortunately, a lot of good states that are nipping this in the bud, and Louisiana being one of them, trying to do it right now.
Yeah, I noticed we actually got beat on the ESG the other day in a committee trying to stop some of the craziness of this. And that's what I was going to ask you. Are y'all working with the legislature and governors in states that actually got a brain to say, hey, this is so expensive and it's put so much control in the federal government's hand over people's lives and businesses? Are y'all letting them know and trying to work with these guys and ladies to stop this?
Yeah, we are. So, FGA, we try and be a resource to state legislators and, whatever they need to get good reforms across the table. And, one of the champions in Louisiana is a freshman senator, Senator Blake Miguez, who, working really closely and with Governor Landry's office and a lot of other good partners in the legislature is trying to get this done. So this reform in particular, still has life in it. The vote was a tie in committee, so it wasn't fully killed. And reforms like that are good because it gets ESG out of public pension, public retirement. So, if you're a state employee and you don't like the sound of what's going on here, this is being debated right now in the State House.
Yeah, John Schroeder, who's our state treasurer, we were invested in BlackRock and some of these people at Vanguard, I guess, some of them that were really involved in this. And they put a lot of money out of their pocket. I know the state of Texas put out about $8 or $9 billion out of the investments on this. And so talk a little bit about that because states have been involved in this more than they think they have.
That's right. So, former Treasurer Schroeder, he pulled out of BlackRock, like you said, and he did that in a really smart way. So it wasn't kind of an overnight pulling the rug out from under everyone. And critics of this reform, I think it's curious they never cite the fact they never cite the impact because, as far as we know, had no real financial impact on the state at all. And in fact, long term, we think that's really going to improve because the bottom line, too, on ESG is that it underperforms the market. You could look up a bunch of different studies of the fact that ESG consistently underperforms even just the basic S&P 500, your basic index fund. So, Treasurer Schroeder had pulled that money out of BlackRock in kind of an executive or administrative action there. The state of Florida just last year passed an ESG bill that had language really similar to what Louisiana's trying to do. And not only did it have no negative financial impact in Florida, their pension fund and the retirement fund actually went over the benchmarks that they were anticipating that fiscal year. So it's, makes pretty much common sense. I feel kind of crazy sometimes having to explain, right, the fact that turns out when you make decisions based off of financial factors, you're actually going to make money. And when you base them off of, factors that don't have anything to do with money, you're going to lose money. But that's kind of the state of where we are right now. In Texas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and a few other states, Idaho, have all implemented these reforms. And we have not seen any negative impact. And in fact, we're seeing some really good things come out of that.
By the way, let me do this. Let me take a break. When we come back, I do want to ask you. I want to give you one more segment. These people that invest in this stuff, what are they doing with the money? Because aren't they involved in some bad politics and some bad stuff that people don't want to be involved in? So when we come back, let's talk about what they've been doing with the money that people have been investing with them. With these ESGs. So anyway, let me take a break. His name is Eric Bledsoe, and of course, Federation Government Accountability. We'll be right back. Line One is a business telecom provider. Line One specializes in cloud-based communication with superior customer service. If you're frustrated with phone bills you can't understand, endless hold time to customer support, and phone system that is not meeting your needs, then you need to go to Line.1 and schedule a free consultation to advance your business phone system. Line 1, technology with a human touch. Go to Line.1 and tell them Moon sent you. Again, that is Line.1. Oh, Shucks, you've been hearing me brag about Shucks. Been going there for many, many years. Shucks does a great job. If you like seafood, you got to go to Shucks in Abbeville. I'm telling you right now, their shrimp, their oysters, their fish, all fresh, every day right off the boat. So if you want something fresh and you want fresh seafood, you got to go to Shucks. Don't forget, if you're having a party, call Shucks. Let them cater the event for you, or you can go pick it up. Shucks, they're waiting on you. If you want a great time and you want great food, you got to go to Shucks in Abbeville. Shucks, they're good. Folks, I want to tell you about one of my new advertisers, Adapt Concepts AC Service Repairs. Serving all of Acadiana, surrounding areas, and the Gulf of Mexico for over 6 years. Full-service AC and heating company, repairs, installation, and preventive maintenance, which is very, very important. Installation service, professional quality services, focus on creating value for you. Terms of certified technician, 24/7 customer service, and free consultation. I'm talking Adapt Concepts, AC Service Repairs. You want the professionals, you want the best, this is them. Purchase a qualified high-efficient system for maintenance, plus get a free 12-year parts and labor warranty. Wow, don't you want to know about that? Call them at 337-408-8202. That's 337-408-8202. Or go to the website, adapt-ac.com. That's adapt-ac.com.
The brand.
How y'all? Welcome back, Microphone Show. Great to have you back with us. Eric Bledsoe, my special guest, Federation Government Accountability. Eric, I know Miguez has this bill, and I think basically to stop this in public retirement. In other words, they didn't want to use that public retirement because tell us what happens. These people like BlackRock and people that are involved in this, they also take this money that people invest with them, and they get very political, and most of the political stuff is all the left stuff. Am I wrong by saying that?
No, it's right, and it's even more than that too. So it goes to fund companies who, they're picking the winners and winners and losers by they're not using kind of standard financial benchmarks. Instead, just looking at kind of what's the makeup of a company's board in terms of its diversity, or what's a company's commitment to net zero carbon emissions. All of these things that don't have a direct impact on actually a profit.
Nope.
And they're picking those winners in the market to invest that money. But it's like I said, it's even more than that too, because if it was just that, it would actually make maybe a little bit of sense from a certain kind of distorted worldview. But they're hypocritical about it as well, because even these ESG funds don't achieve their stated social or climate goals.
Yeah.
So there have been a number of studies that have looked at this. Well, one of them that I just want to point out is MSCI, Morgan Stanley Capital International. They have an ESG rating system. So they rate all these companies on how well do they do on ESG.
Oh my God.
And then a lot of investors kind of look at that and choose those companies. What they do on that rating system is they rate Texas oil and American energy and American fossil fuel energy, which is the cleanest in the world. They rate it lower than Chinese energy companies. And they give Chinese energy companies higher ESG ratings. So, do the math. That's where the capital gets redirected. So it's more than just the kind of, public kind of social cause. I mean, Elon Musk was it about a year or two ago, talked about what a scam ESG was, because, the most prominent electric car company right in the country, Tesla, was taken off of the ESG index by BlackRock because they didn't really agree with his politics, but they kept Exxon on.
Oh my God. But part of Miguez's bill would give the AG Liz Murrow kind of authority to protect public retirement from ESG. And so why wouldn't that be a good thing? I know Texas, Florida, South Carolina has it, and they're looking after their people. Why not Louisiana?
It'd be a great thing, and it really wouldn't be, much different in terms of kind of what's written down or what the practice is. Because right now in the Louisiana law, you have a commitment, prudent man standard, and you also have just standard fiduciary duty. But what's happening with these companies is they say, yes, we agree with the fiduciary duty, and then we'll take the public funds and invest them. But they kind of talk out of two sides of their mouth. So in the public, they say, oh, we're not doing this. But then when we actually kind of, lift the veil, we see what's actually happening. So what this bill does is it gets very specific on what those kind of factors are. But all of those just strengthen what already exists in how state funds and public retirement is invested.
Yeah, it's let me ask you a question. How is this stopped? Is this stopped state by state? Is this stopped by having a new president? I mean, who's putting the pressure on the banks to even be involved and investors to even be involved in this crazy stuff?
You've got to do a number of things, but the first and foremost thing is the states. States have a lot of discretion. First off, over public retirement, right? Those are state programs. States can do that, but also states can be looking to other actions as well. State attorneys general have discretion over antitrust investigations, which a lot of these companies and banks, might be violating right now. In fact, there was just a recent letter from AGs looking at this issue as well. They sent it to the heads of these companies and banks. So there's a lot that could be done at the state level, protecting public retirement, looking into kind of violations of consumer protection and antitrust, which if you say to someone, if you go down to the street to your kind of neighborhood investment advisor and say, hey, I'm going to give you some money for retirement, what's the assumption? The assumption is that you get a maximized rate of return when you retire.
Of course.
But if they take that money and put it into a fund that they know underperforms, that's a problem. So states have a lot of discretion over that. But ultimately, there are a lot of regulations happening at the SEC and the Department of Labor where you do need new leadership.
But let me stop you real quick, because banks, they all come under FDIC. That's the federal government. And the federal government under Biden administration is driving this. So how do banks get around forcing it when they got the federal government sitting right there, and we know they bailed the banks out 1,000 times?
Yeah, and oftentimes they're working with them to do it. Yeah, so you definitely need new leadership.
Oh, no, I figured if we had the right president, we can stop the craziness once again. People are going to make less on their investment because some idiot thinks we got to worry about your score when it comes to fossil fuels versus combustion engine versus to electric car. That don't make any sense. Hey, in China, that makes sense. In Russia, that makes sense. In Europe, it might make sense, but not in America.
That's right.
Okay, how can people find out more about this, Eric?
Well, you could go to the Foundation for Government Accountability's website. That's the FGA.org. And then you could also look into the reforms that Senator Miguez and some other states have done as well. But I would start with looking at what Louisiana is trying to do right now, and then looking at our resources as well.
All right, Eric Bledsoe, thank you, sir. God bless. We'll do it again soon.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
God bless you too.
All right, buddy. All right, we got to take a break. More to come. Moon Griffon Show. Your calls are welcome. Email me moon@moongriffon.com. We'll be right back.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. It's termite season. Did you know termites are responsible for over $1 billion worth of damage in Louisiana alone? For over 60 years, J&J Exterminating has been shielding homes and businesses. 100% guaranteed against termites, pests, and mosquitoes. Louisiana-owned, customer-focused. J&J Exterminating.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J Exterminating.
Get the shield.
Yeah. Spring is here, and if you love seafood like I do, you need Ragin' Cajun, the original Cajun seasoning, and Ragin' Cajun's delicious seafood dinners like etouffee, Creole sauce, shrimp and grits, seafood bisque, gumbo and roux. All Ragin' Cajun products are made right here in Acadiana. Folks, trust me, they are good. Ask for the Ragin' Cajun and all your favorite grocery stores today. Ragin' Cajun, the original Cajun seasoning. Ask them for the Ragin' Cajun. Oh, man, I love me some Superior Grill. Superior Grill, the best Mexican food in the state of Louisiana, bar none, baby. They are the best, and you're going to love them, too. They got great drinks and food, and the atmosphere is second to none. They know what they're doing. They know how to serve. Hey, folks, you do know they cater. They do cater. Superior Grill, located in New Orleans, Shreveport, and Baton Rouge, Lafayette right around the corner. You're going to love Superior Grill. You're going to love the atmosphere. You're going to love the taste. They can handle anything you got. Folks, they got happy hours. They really serve the people. And you're going to love Superior. I love it. You're going to love it. I cannot wait to go to Superior Grill. I've been going to Superior Grill now for 29 years. Let me tell you, I know all about Superior Grill. When I want good Mexican food, I'm going to Superior Grill. I want to see you there. We're going to have a blast.
Getting quality employees this hour brought to you by Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management. Online at MatthewJames.com.
Hello, welcome back. Moon Griffon Show, Friday Eve. Beautiful looking day. At least I get to go outside some. Anyway, great to have you back with us. 844-766-6607. Matthew James Tax Wealth Management Hotline. Let's go back to the legislature. A lot of bills and things being passed. Not all the way through the process, but somewhat. And some vaccine stuff came up. Some exemption news. We invited Dr. Jill Hines joins us. Jill, how you doing?
Oh, hey, Moon, but I am not a doctor.
Oh, my bad. It doesn't matter. You've been involved in this. Watching. I bet you feel like a doctor.
Yeah, I feel like one, but I am a consumer and human rights advocate. And so we have supported this legislation that came up on the House floor yesterday for, I think this is our 5th year that we have tried in some way to get this legislation passed. And State Representative Kathy Edmondson has been so good to carry it for the last several years. And really all the legislation does is require schools to inform parents and students of the already existing law regarding vaccine exemptions. Of course, it passed last year and was vetoed by Governor Edwards.
Okay, let me back up. Let me back up because I want to make sure all it does is offer parents, if they want to back out of their kids being vaccinated. Okay, but it doesn't change any laws, any rules far as the vaccination process. It's still the same.
No, it simply informs them of the law.
So it doesn't do anything. It doesn't make a parent do something or not do something, correct?
No, as the bill was introduced, the parent didn't have to do anything. The school would be required to inform parents of the already existing exemption law. Former State Representative Woody Jenkins is the original drafter of this exemption language, and he thinks, if he can remember correctly, it happened around early 1980s. So this law has been in place for decades. We're just asking the schools to inform parents and students of the law. And it's been incredibly difficult. Of course, we've been faced with, John Bell Edwards for the last 4 years, a governor who instituted a program called Vaccinate Before You Graduate. Yeah. So the man was heavily invested in the vaccine industry and vaccine program. We thought this year, with this brand new legislature, that this bill would be a breeze to get through the legislature. And then yesterday, of course, we got slammed with this awful amendment by a brand new freshman legislator by the name of Jessica Domingue, who took the seat, by the way, of Tanner McGee.
Well, it looks like to me, to me, she's acting like Tanner McGee. That ain't good for anybody. That ain't good for anybody. If you're acting like Bad News Big Mouth McGee, you're not going to help the state at all.
Exactly. And if you'll recall, several years ago, Rep. McGee, when he was still in the legislature, he's not anymore, thank goodness, but he introduced a resolution to promote the COVID vaccine lottery. Do you remember that? Yep. When the state instituted a vaccine lottery? He proposed the legislation to endorse or to institute a vaccine lottery program, giving away millions of dollars to get vaccinated. So we're running, we have replaced Tanner McGee with Tanner McGee 2.0.
No doubt about
the legislation.
No doubt about that.
Yeah, so the legislation introduced yesterday by Rep. Domingue would require parents that do decide to submit a written dissent to undergo a medical examination. Their child would have to undergo a medical examination.
Wow.
Wow. So talk about medical fascism.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I just can't believe. Well, but like I said, if McGee helped get her there, trust me, the ignorance stays. So they put the amendment on the bill, and I guess the amendment passed. The amendment passed on the bill when it got out.
The bill passed. Yes, the amendment passed 51 to 50. No surprise. Some of the, the usual suspects.
At a fraud squad. I got to go pull up the vote. I got it right here. I hadn't had a chance to really evaluate the bad players in this. I really just hadn't had to evaluate, but I'm betting a lot of the fraud squad members that I know from the past probably were the ones that voted bad.
Freiberg, Hilferty.
Yep, Hilferty, Freiberg.
Yeah.
I mean, who was that?
All of the
Zizarang.
Democrats.
Zero Zizarang, Argeron, Thomas Turner. That's old. Bad news Turner. He continues to vote bad.
He does, and he's actually my state representative. So I texted him when this amendment was being introduced on the floor and asked him to vote against it. And, of course, he votes for it. So maybe next time I should ask him to vote against or vote for it. He'll vote against it.
Oh, my God.
He does the exact opposite of what I asked him to do.
Bagley continues to vote bad. Domain Carrier. There's Hebert. That wouldn't happen to be Troy Hebert, huh?
That would be Troy
Hebert. Yeah, he's controlled by the fraud squad people over here. That's horrible vote for Troy Hebert.
Yeah.
Absolutely ignorant on his part, but somebody's got him. They own him. That's kind of sad.
It is. We were not happy with some of the names that we saw on here. We're hoping that for some of the freshman legislators that voted for this, that it was an error on their part. I'm giving them a little grace. Not much, but I'm giving them a little grace. So we're hopeful. I don't even say we're hopeful. We know that this amendment, it will either be removed when it hits the Senate Education Committee or the bill itself will be killed. Yep. As it stands, this legislation will not be signed into law. I can't see a Governor Landry, the Governor Landry that I know, signing this legislation into law. But we've also been assured by State Representative Kathy Edmondson that she will kill the bill. She will not allow this to be laid on the governor's desk. So I want to assure people of that. But we want to take this opportunity, too, to educate legislators. I mean, some of the arguments that we heard on the floor yesterday were so incredibly egregious in regards to parental rights. For example, Representative Domain's argument for this legislation was for parental rights. She kept saying, I have the right to determine if my child is going to be vaccinated or not, which she chose to be vaccinated. But her argument was that if you choose not to vaccinate, the state will intercede. You have to go see a doctor and have physical examination. She equated it to medical neglect. So the argument there was so counterintuitive to parental rights. Every Republican in that room should have been standing against it. I'm sad that they did not. But, of course, the usual champions did. We had Representative Danny McCormick get up and speak on the bill. Of course, Representative Beryl Amade got up and spoke very eloquently in regards to parental rights and the fact that parents are being kicked out of pediatric care for not vaccinating. So the idea that somebody that chooses not to vaccinate can just go get a medical exam at the state's request is really a little short-sighted. I don't think she understands the discrimination that parents and children are exposed to when this type of medical information is made known. So the usual champions are still in our court, speaking on behalf of parental rights. But, again, we have some educating to do.
And no doubt about it. Hopefully the Senate will change this out of this. Is actually ludicrous. So now I got to go take my kid to a doctor. So what do you do when you come back? The doctor says they're fine. Well, then you can take the vaccine. There's another argument there. I mean, that ain't good at all. But okay, Jill, I appreciate it. Let me know when we get to the Senate committees because I'd like to see if it's going to be amended.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I'll let you know.
Yeah, let me know. Let me know. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah, once again, the town of McGee, Tibergham, Troy Abad really doesn't surprise me because I know who they own Troy. I knew Troy would eventually go that way. He made another bad vote, too. Got two of them that I know of, and the session just started. Anyway, that's just unbelievable that they're going to do this. And by the way, this bill doesn't do a whole lot. It just says when it comes to a vaccine, real simple, is that the state, the school system says, hey, here's how you opt out if you want to opt out. They got to tell them. And they tripping out on that. Most people are not going to opt out on vaccines. COVID, they will, but not the other vaccines. Most people are going to stay. I know, by the way, one of the things I want to touch upon real quick, because I know measles and outbreaks, and they're blaming all the people that are not vaccinating their kids now. It's caused by COVID. Number two, where did the measles come from? Illegals. Anyway, I'll get to that in a minute. We'll take a break, be right back. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. Spring is here. If you love seafood like I do, you need Ragin' Cajun, the original Cajun seasoning, and Ragin' Cajun's delicious seafood dinners like etouffee, Creole sauce, shrimp and grits, seafood bisque, gumbo and roux. All Ragin' Cajun products are made right here in Acadiana. Folks, trust me, they are good. Ask for the Ragin' Cajun and all your favorite grocery stores today. Ragin' Cajun, the original Cajun season. Ask them for the Ragin' Cajun.
As Louisiana's only fiberglass manufacturer and fabricator, C-Safe Fiberglass Grading and Structural Systems has provided corrosion-resistant products to the Gulf Coast for over 45 years. Our fiberglass grading, cable trays, and structural shapes are ideal to replace corroded, rotting building products and can be custom fabricated by the best fiberglass craftsmen in the world, right here in Lafayette. Contact C-Safe or visit our website at csafe.com. That's SEA like the ocean, SAFE.com.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. It's termite season. Did you know termites are responsible for over $1 billion worth of damage in Louisiana alone? For over 60 years, J&J Exterminating has been shielding homes and businesses. 100% guaranteed against termites, pests, and mosquitoes. Louisiana-owned, customer-focused. J&J Exterminating.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J Exterminating.
Get the shield.
Yeah.
You ever stuffed a chicken, kid?
Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Great to be back with you. 844-766-6607. Matthew James Tax Wealth Management Hotline. And we had, I always call her Dr. Hines. I apologize to her and everybody else. But it was amazing because I've been reading articles how everybody's writing about the people are not being vaccinated. It was up from 1.1% to 2.3%. We got a lot of people getting measles and other stuff. I read in Chicago, tuberculosis, measles are going crazy there too. And they blaming all of it on people not being vaccinated. But why don't they look into how many illegals are bringing this across the border? How many illegals in the school systems that's causing all this? And they won't bring that up. They just want to go after. It was an article today in the Devil's Advocate, I think it was today, about vaccination. And there's a cartoon about vaccination. And then we'll talk about all these people not vaccinating people. Well, most people are still vaccinating their kids. A lot of them. Almost all the people are vaccinating their kids. But what happened was what they don't admit two things. Illegals have hurt the process. Somebody just asked Moon, I have a question. Are illegals being required to vaccinate before they put them into schools with other children? I have no idea. Can't answer that question. I don't know. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I don't know the answer to that question. But they're not being fair to us because you just heard Dr. Brumley, when I had Cade Brumley on, Dr. Cade Brumley, the superintendent of education in Louisiana, he talked about in Jefferson Parish, Man, like beginning every school year, with like 1,500 to 2,000 illegals in the school system every year. I don't know if they got vaccinated. I have no idea. But you start talking about, if you're going to talk about the number of people not vaccinating their kids, one of the other reasons that people are scared of it is for Bell Edwards and all these doctors and people that got involved with vaccinating these young kids in school, especially elementary kids, with a shot that was not proven yet, with the virus that was not affecting young kids. So when they talk about these parents are nuts for not being vaccinated, look, I'd vaccinate my kids on some of the stuff that I think need to be vaccinated because I did. Not the COVID deal, though. Not the COVID. And I'm glad the grandbabies never got vaccinated on the COVID. The other stuff, man, stuff that's been tried and true, and I know some people don't believe in them at all. They have a choice to do that. This is still America. But they're blaming everybody on people not being vaccinated. How many times have we heard measles pop up? Not a whole lot anymore, have we? Or mumps or whatever, the measles. Well, fast forward to a Biden world with 14 million new illegals. They've been shoving them in these school systems for 15 years. And they got to put them, it's like Dr. Brumley said, we got to take them. We got to do whatever they sent us, but nobody talks about the money and all this and all this stuff that's going on, which is bringing our country down. Measles. There used to hardly ever be a measles outbreak. They are now. I was reading in Chicago, tuberculosis in the school systems and measles, and that's a sanctuary city. And they are getting thousands and tens of thousands new kids in the schools. I don't know who's being vaccinated and who ain't being vaccinated. But I know this, they love blaming the parents who don't vaccinate their kids. There was a cartoon today, Walt Hausman, leftist, and I know he does other stuff, but he does for The Advocate. And it was a picture of two parents, and at the end of it, they said, well, you can't go outside, you got to go outside. The kid had measles because they hadn't vaccinated him. But they don't talk about illegals and the money for that. And they don't talk about how we scared people to death with COVID. And then Bell Edwards wanted to vaccinate every single kid, and that became a war. Because Bell's woke. One of the most woke governors in the whole country. So people like Gio Hines and the group said, no, this ain't fair. They can't do this. It's unconstitutional. It is unconstitutional. But once again, they got out of the vote with 51-50 because of the weak Tanner McGee-like, bad news bear, big mouth McGee type people like that. Same old people that still vote wrong or still vote wrong. Larry Bagley. I don't know if Larry Bagley's made a good vote in about 30 years. I don't know if he's been there 30 years, but I'm sure if he'd have been there 30 years, he wouldn't have 4 votes he could brag about. But old Bagley, you can count on Bagley being big government guy. And so having Republicans mean nothing to me. Show me. That's why they're going to have problems getting everything through. And then new ones like this Tanner McGee lady and this Troy Hebert fellow, who's a nice guy. I know him. I met him a few times. He ain't going to vote right when you need him. Hopefully they can change it back. But I'm like, I hope they drop the bill if they can't get what they want to. But if they don't get it through, it's going to be because of Republicans, not because of Democrats, because there's no more excuses, folks. There's none. Absolutely none. One other thing, somebody wrote me, Moon, this info already, but one of these carbon capture projects being built in Big Spring, Texas, West Texas near Midland. It's all a scam to keep the refineries operating. They are money makers for those investors and lobbyists. Essentially, they capture carbon in an area 100 miles away. Facilities like ExxonMobil, Marathon, etc., consider both distance away, says Houston piped the carbon underground to the facility. These facilities are utilized by plants that cannot capture the carbon themselves due to the cost. The catch, these plants then purchase credits for these facilities to cover what they should be doing and unable to do for themselves. These credits are accepted as part of the federal regulations plants need to adhere to in order to operate. They all know it's a scam, even government, but it provides these plants the ability to continue to operate under the guise of being climate friendly and reducing emissions, and it doesn't do either. Thanks for what you're doing, representing those who can't speak for themselves on the health of Louisiana and the country. Based on your call from the nice lady who called with info on this, pigs are used to clear out a pipe on a certain product when it runs through into a load onto a vessel or tank. I work in logistics, loading ships and barges, so I know personally. God bless. Well, thank you, sir, for that. I understand that. I understand that, the hoax. I do. Been understanding it for a long time. I'm just worried about places that got these lakes. Lake Marpole covers some of Livingston Parish in that area that's fighting this. They do what they want to do, and then there's a disaster. Nobody would. You ever notice? No, if the government never makes mistakes. Only you and me. They never pay for them either. Only you and me. Yeah, tuberculosis breaks out at Chicago migrant shelter following measles cases. Some of these kids are going in these schools, folks. Confirmed tuberculosis cases comes in more than 55 measles cases have been confirmed in Chicago. Small number of tuberculosis cases have been reported at some migrant facilities following a recent outbreak. Well, if you're at the migrant facility and they put you in the schools, you're going to have outbreaks in the schools. Joe Biden and the Democrats' new way of doing things in the United States of America. But our people and the people in the media and the devil's advocate and people like that, they're going to blame for a few people not vaccinating their kids. This is where it's coming from. This is where it's coming from, folks. There's no doubt where it's coming from. And Joe Biden and the Democrat Party are going to roll them in here, and they don't care about you and your health. They care about their power, and they figure this is a new way to gain power forever. Unfortunately, people that vote for Democrats, you can't tell them nothing. They think they're smart, and they really just not too bright. You got to hate your country and hate your fellow man, what the Democrats are doing in this country on the money side and on the illegal immigration side, because they are illegal. And the healthcare system is going to be crushed by this. But hey, I'm just a little talk show host in Louisiana. What the hell I know? You ain't got to believe nothing I'm saying. Just watch it for yourself. All right, we're going to take a break. Mooncriphone.com. Listen live. Another hour to go. God bless you folks leaving us. Have a great day.
For the absolute best in local Cajun food, check out Prejean's in their 2 locations in Carencro and Broussard today.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL, Brobridge, Lafayette, a Town Square media station broadcasting from the Matthew James Financial Studio.
Mounting pressure on Israel. Lisa Brady, Fox News. President Biden has a call planned today with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, their first conversation since an Israeli airstrike killed 7 aid workers, including an American, in Gaza. The president and the U.S. defense chief have already expressed outrage over what the Israeli military has called a case of misidentification.
And as the Israelis are investigating that incident, they are simultaneously preparing for the possibility of an Iranian response following a strike earlier this week that killed 2 top Iranian generals in Syria. We do know overnight the Israeli military called up reserve soldiers to help man air defense systems. Also this morning, the Israelis canceled leave for all combat forces.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv. The Israeli cabinet meets later today to discuss threats from Iran, the ongoing war in Gaza, and ceasefire talks, which continue. Another round of rough polling for President Biden, with former President Trump ahead in all but one battleground state in a new Wall Street Journal poll.
Those states include Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Nevada, and North Carolina, with the two candidates tied in Wisconsin. The results are similar when third-party candidates are involved and in a head-to-head matchup. Those polled say they trust former President Trump more to handle the economy and immigration, while trusting President Biden more on the issue of abortion.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz in Washington. However, if the election were held today, a separate poll by NPR, PBS NewsHour, and Marist College gives President Biden a slight lead. An execution in Oklahoma. Michael Dwayne Smith just put to death by lethal injection for killing two people more than 2 decades ago. Smith told a clemency hearing last month he was high on drugs, didn't remember being arrested, and wasn't the shooter. His defense attorney said key elements of his confession at the time weren't supported by the facts. America is listening to Fox News.
Hey, it's Jesse Kelly. Are you still on the fence about owning gold? It's time to pull the trigger with the Oxford Gold Group and buy gold and silver. Nobody can predict the future, but we can't put our head in the sand either. The Oxford Gold Group are the pros. They make owning gold and silver simple and easy to understand. Call Oxford Gold Group right now and you may qualify for up to $10,000 in free precious metals. Call 833-995-GOLD. That's 833-995-GOLD.
Fraudulent tax returns due identity theft increased by 30% in 2023. If you're in a bind this tax season, LifeLock can help. Their U.S.-based restoration specialists are dedicated to helping solve identity theft issues, and all plans are backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, which means if you lose money because of identity theft, LifeLock will reimburse you up to the limits of your plan. Help protect your information with LifeLock. Go to LifeLock.com and save up to 25% your first year with my name, Clay, as your promo code.
Texas putting up more razor wire fence along the southern U.S. border, even though the federal government won a court fight over that. Governor Greg Abbott telling Fox News.
We are extraordinarily concerned about a terrorist attack occurring in Texas or elsewhere in the United States because of the terrorists who are crossing our border at will.
He argues the state has a right to self-defense. A man who spent hours on a cell phone tower in Florida is facing charges.
A T-Mobile worker checking out why the cell company's equipment at a Miami tower site was malfunctioning found that a man dressed up as a T-Mobile employee had scaled the tower and was disturbing the equipment 150 feet up. The man had a Bible tucked into his waistband, too.
Starts talking about God and please come up here and see the view with me. At that time, the T-Mobile worker calls Miami police.
Miami police officer Michael Vega. Police and rescue responders convinced the man, 38-year-old Richard Smith, to come down, but he's now charged with burglary and mischief. In Miami, Eben Brown, Fox News.
A plan to convert ocean buoys to virtual navigation aids prompts protests.
The Coast Guard issued a notice to mariners and then faced the blowback on plans to replace physical buoys and other navigational markers in some California harbors with virtual buoys, appearing as a dot on your GPS navigational chart. Santa Cruz groups formed to fight the removal of their Mile buoy, noting it serves thousands of fishermen, sailors, powerboaters, and paddleboarders with a gentle foghorn and blinking light, a visual reference from land to direct water rescues. Mariners note, what if you lose your online navigation? What about hackers and sea life? Birds and sea lions who use the buoys to land on.
Fox's Therese Crowley. The Coast Guard hasn't abandoned the idea of virtual markers, but they are leaving the Santa Cruz and Newport Beach buoys in place and thanking the public for engagement. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.